is using artificial intelligence cheating? And what are the teacher's reactions? So we know that photomat and automatic translation tools have been around in education for some time now. And perhaps you know of other devices that the children, the pupils or the students will use to perhaps do their homework or do the work we would like them to do otherwise using artificial intelligence. So before we see what the reactions we know about are, give yourself a moment to think about it. What would your reaction be? What has been your reaction? And when you have answered, please continue watching the video. Here are some typical reactions that you can find on discussion groups. Discussion groups where teachers are trying to find answers to the problems they have when they see that their pupils are using tools to do their homework instead of doing it themselves. So the first reaction is a very negative one. It's, if the kid doesn't want to learn, then so be it. In other words, it's the parents' problem, it's society's problem, it's somebody else's problem, it's not my problem as a teacher. Obviously, we can't recommend that attitude. The second attitude is to warn the students or the pupils that on D-Day, the day of the exam, they won't have photomat or the automatic translation or whatever other tool AI will provide them. So obviously we should do this, but be very careful, because when we are doing this, we are implicitly assuming that the reason for which we are learning is only to pass exams, whereas that's not the real reason for which we should be learning. The third one is to go on the moral area and explain that photomat is just bad and using it is wrong. So this might sound like the correct idea for an educator, but if you think about it from the point of view of a pupil, this is very disturbing, because the pupil is seeing that many people around him are actually using these tools. Their parents might be translating with them, or their big brother might be using it to do a maths problem, and so it somehow is difficult for them to be convinced. Furthermore, and this is going to be clearly the case with tools like GPT-3, GPT-4, the teacher herself is going to be using the tool. So it is a difficult idea that we can actually convince that in one case it is cheating and in the other it is not. So once we're talking about cheating comes a fourth area, which is the teacher who thinks that their role is to be a detective and find out when the pupil has been cheating. And so there's a lot of noise around saying, we can detect cheating, we can detect when this has been done. This is obviously also pushed by industry, who wants to probably sell some software to detect this, which doesn't always work, or when it works, might only work statistically, making still perhaps too many errors for us to be safely able to give a wrong grade to a child just because the child has been caught with an area in which there's cheating involved. So the fifth idea is a little bit more interesting. It is the idea of saying, well, let me as a teacher test the AI tool on my questions to see how the AI tool would answer. And then perhaps I can rephrase my question in such a way as a direct answer will not be obtained. So this recommendation probably also works with other AI tools. And it is a way around this. It means that we have to be aware of how AI works. The sixth one is, of course, to change the idea altogether and to actually enter the app or the AI tool into the teaching and to actually try to learn the skill of languages with using these techniques, rather than the one of learning languages ignoring these techniques. So some rules perhaps that we can learn or we can think about here. So the first one is that from what we are noticing, every country has their own rules about what you can do and what you cannot do. And these rules are changing very, very fast. So this video and this course can certainly not bring you up to date in each country and in each case. So you need to look into that. The second one, and perhaps the most important one, is to not be in denial. You should not believe that these technologies don't work. That is probably the worst attitude. You should be looking at how they work, understand what it is going to offer to the pupils, what it can also offer to you, and then play according to that. And the third lesson is that there's a huge industry behind artificial intelligence. And cheating is something that everybody is mesmerized about. So there will always be tools out there claiming that they can detect cheating in all their forms. This is today not true. These tools today don't exist.